Thanks for having me, Elaine.
Let's go live to Austin, Texas, where officials are holding a news conference on the serial bombing case.
Seeing something like this was made easy and possible by the assistance we got from federal partners. We saw a level of federal participation from the ATF and the FBI in this community, with over 500 agents that were focused on bringing peace back to our community. But I want to focus on a couple of additional information that we have today based on the ongoing investigation. And again, I will say this is an ongoing investigation. We have at this point located a recording that the suspect in this incident made. It is about a 25-minute recording where he talks about what he has done. I would classify this as a confession. This was on a phone that we found in his possession early this morning after we had the officer involved in shooting, after he detonated that. On this recording, the suspect describes the 6 bombs that he constructed with a level of specificity that he identified the differences among those 6 bombs. We have told you all along that they all had similarities, which they did as far as specific components, but there were also differences between them. And on this recording, he identified what those differences were. I know everybody is interested in a motive and understanding why, and we are never going to be able to put a ration behind these acts. But what I can tell you, having listened to that recording, he does not at all mention anything about terrorism, nor does he mention anything about hate. But instead, it is the outcry of a very challenged young man talking about challenges in his personal life that led him to this point. Based on what we heard on the recording, he described the 6 devices, and we have recovered those 6 devices. He also described the 7th device, that being the one he had on him early this morning, that he detonated as our officers approached, causing the explosion and the ultimate officer-involved shooting that took place. We still want our community to remain vigilant, as we always should, given the day and time in which we live now. But I also want to let the community know that he described 7 explosive devices, and we have identified and are no longer in play those 7 devices. So I think it's important that we put that out and that the community be aware. We do want to remain vigilant, but we have accounted for the devices that we have known about. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to the Honorable Governor Greg Abbott for comments. Thank you.
Well, Chief, thank you very much for what you just shared, but also thank you very much for what you have done and demonstrated over the past few weeks. You know, there's a phrase that is used sometimes very casually that sometimes turns out to be very poignant. And that is, sometimes people refer to their local police officers as the finest, such as Austin's finest, when they're talking about the Austin police officers. This is demonstrative of why people say that. We saw in this situation Austin's finest, Austin's police officers galvanize and work tirelessly together over the past few weeks to solve one of the most heinous crimes that's ever existed in Austin, Texas, and in the process literally saving lives. And importantly, they did so in a way that achieved maximum response by working so collaboratively with law enforcement at every single level. This entire effort benefited tremendously by the overwhelming support that was provided to us here at the local level by the federal government at multiple areas of expertise. And of course, the state of Texas, directed by Steve McCraw in the Texas Department of Public Safety, was proud to assist in the effort also. But candidly, in my time as 12 years as Attorney General and 3 years as Governor, have not seen a better job than what we've seen from this police chief and the Austin police force, ensuring that they took every step they could to locate and apprehend, if possible alive, the treacherous, evil criminal who committed these acts. And I know, speaking for the chief, as well as all the members of his force, as well as the Texas Department of Public Safety, as well as everybody involved in this, there was one motivating factor to ensure that we got up every day, if in fact we ever went to sleep any night. And that was to do everything we can to live up to the magnitude of the loss that was suffered. We can never forget the victims. They include Anthony House, Draylon Mason, Esperanza Herrera, and as I have it too, yet unidentified victims. What we don't know is how many more victims there would have been had it not been for the courageous efforts of law enforcement combined. We will take away from this the importance of being able to respond quickly, but also lessons learned to make sure that heinous, inexplicable bombing actions by a crazed madman will be able to be minimized because of the way that law enforcement has been galvanized to ensure that we will keep our community safe. So, Chief, on behalf of everybody across the entire state of Texas, I want to say thank you for a job well done, for what you and your entire team has done. And today we proudly back the blue in Austin, Texas. And I'm also proud of the man who is the lead chief executive for the city of Austin, a man who has shared the effort of responding to this challenge, maintaining peace in our community, and that is Mayor Adler, who is with us here today. Mayor, I would like to toss it to you.
Governor, thank you. Our collective thoughts and prayers as a community go to the families of Mr. House and Mr. Mann, and also to Ms. Herrera, who continues today in stable but critical condition. This has been an anxious time for our community. I'll tell you that I think our community was getting a little frayed here toward the last few days. I am so proud of our police force and our police chief, Brian Manley. The work that they did was just incredible, with the weight of an entire community on their shoulders. I was incredibly impressed with the support that we had. Governor, you weighed in very early, both with manpower. You helped initiate the reward, as well as the funding that you gave us for the technology. It is something real impressive to see over 500 federal agents come to our community. I was impressed with the determination and the focus of the collective force and the way that they were able to work across jurisdiction in order to be able to deliver the outcome. And quite frankly, it was only watching the collective forces working together that gave us the confidence to be able to tell our community that if we pulled together and did our part, that this was going to be solved, and it was going to be solved quickly. And to our community, I want to say thank you as well. I think that we can be proud of what we did. When you're in these kind of instances, it's easy to find yourself feeling a little bit helpless, but we were not helpless as a community. Our law enforcement professionals asked us to be their eyes and their ears, and they asked us to get each other's back, which is what we did. It is important for us to be able to see around us the things that were suspicious and to be able to identify them. And as the facts come out in the upcoming time, I think the community is going to see that people identifying things that were suspicious helped us to be able to resolve this. So I'm proud of a community that stepped forward. I will also tell you that I've had the opportunity to be in many neighborhoods stressed neighborhoods over the last couple weeks and in town hall meetings, talking to the community about identifying things in their neighborhood that are suspicious. What I learned was that as a community, we do not know our neighbors the way that we should, or perhaps the way that we used to. I think it is real important as a community that we use this moment. The legacy of this event for us should be that we walk across the street and introduce ourselves to our neighbors, or down the street or across the hall. We should know our neighbors better than we do. And if we do that, we will be a stronger and better community, and we will have advanced from this time. Again, on behalf of an incredibly thankful and appreciative community, to everyone that is gathered here behind me, I want to convey a community's thanks.
All right, we've been listening to officials there in Austin, Texas,
Hi, everybody. My name is John
speak about the latest regarding the investigation there. That was the mayor. We heard earlier from the governor of Texas as well, Greg Abbott. But the news conference started off with really the headline on the investigative front from Austin Police Chief Brian Manley, who said that they have located a recording the suspect made, 25 minutes long. They classify it as a confession, and it was on a phone. And in that recording, the suspect described the 6 bombs that were constructed with specificity about the differences among the bombs. The police chief also went on to say that the suspect did not mention anything about terrorism or hate. Instead, the chief said this was the outcry of a troubled man. He urged caution as well, saying that although they have accounted for devices that they know about, he said the public still needs to be vigilant. We're going to continue to monitor the situation in Austin, Texas, and bring you any updates